Okay. Joy, should we start? Is it 5 minutes?
Yes, Rinpoche, whenever you're ready.
Where did I leave? 10th? No.
I believe you left off with a question about how to not have any numbness or unclarity when it comes to remembering the teachings.
Okay. Next one, 12, little complicated. Talking about dhatus, elements. How should a bodhisattva learn and enter into all the dhatus? This is a dhatu is Sanskrit word. Dhatu is so rich and so important. Elements, spheres. And there's a very big study in the Abhidharma. But since I'm understanding that there's a lot of new people here, just to give you a picture. See, let's say I'm talking here right now, and I'm talking to a bunch of people here. Remember earlier I was saying, each person, even as I say 2 words, there is a change of dhatu. So usually when we talk, we just sort of have a make-believe, yes, we communicated. But usually it's all like this. You understand this? I used to say, like, we only have to hope there's a we only have to hope for a unsuccessful miscommunication. Then you are lucky if you have an unsuccessful miscommunication. Then you should consider you are lucky, have merit. But the Bodhisattva knows this dhatu, the sphere, what dimension that's happening right this very moment with 100,000 people, with 1 person, what element? What's the other word? Constitution, yeah. That's a good word, right? Constitution. You know, people, Indians, they walk in the morning for constitution, right? Mood. Wow. To really click that, the mood of the listener, not just teaching, I'm not talking about, just doesn't matter. Even me waving my, mask here. If I'm a bodhisattva who is skilled in this, who knows when, what, how long, all of that, it will do something. And if you deeply look into your life, this may have happened to you many times. Sometimes out of nowhere, for some strange reason, some people inspire you, or some people really disgust you. Basically, the elements and all that. So basically, yeah, that's what the question is about. How should a bodhisattva really learn to really get that educational element. These are an important education, actually. The world, Harvard needs to learn this. Stanford needs to learn this. Then there will be less war. Otherwise, there's just no hitting. So usually what happens is I say something and you listen, you hear something, and you believe that this is what I said. So you hear something that you think I have said, and that's about it. If you think deeply on this, it's like really depressing to think about the effort that we put in so-called communication. Anyway, also, this one I'm not so clear, so I can't really bluff here. The number 13, something to do with requesting and what do you call it? Confidence. How to pursue, ask, and how to not let others outshine your confidence, your authenticity, your authentic presence. How to not lose that, how to not let other conditions outshine this, rattle this, shake this. I think the Bodhisattvas need this. 14, I will quickly go through. I'm sorry, I'm taking a bit of a time here. And I haven't even reached to the answer yet. This is just a question. How can a Bodhisattva learn every single minute details of the Buddha field of all the Buddhas? And not only understand, understand each and every details of the Buddha field. This one, so important, especially those who always talk about compassion. You should really pay attention to the next one. You know, we always talk about Buddhism, compassion, non-violence, love. Hear this Mahayana comment. How should a Bodhisattva right, benefit, help sentient beings? Yet, Bodhisattva never look at them as a sentient being. It's just so important. Because many times when we are talking about compassion, we are talking about a hierarchy. The elite, bourgeois, the compassionates, and the object of compassion, what is it? Proletariat. Yeah, proletariat, object of compassion. This is how we think. Yeah. And then 16 was, how should a Bodhisattva teach? How should Bodhisattva not dwell on any kind of a view? How should a Bodhisattva teach about, how should a Bodhisattva talk about the nirvana, yet Bodhisattva not dwell in this concept of nirvana? Yeah. How should a bodhisattva act as a bodhisattva and enter into the bodhisattva path? Yet, how should detach oneself from the bodhisattva act, bodhisattva aim? 17 questions were asked by the great supreme joy bodhisattva. Okay. Then Buddha gave the answer. First, a long praise to the bodhisattva. Good. Actually, the questions already are answered, right? Question is already poking. Questions have already poked the hole. It has already done its job. Anyway, the Bodhisattva Buddha's answer. He talked about this special samadhi. Samadhi that really sort of accentuates the truth of all the phenomena. And Buddha talked long time, a big part of the sutra is about how with this samadhi, if the bodhisattvas have this samadhi, then bodhisattva will have no problem with all the troubleshooting 17 problems that the bodhisattva raised. Not only that, if the bodhisattva has this samadhi, bodhisattva will excel. Now, this is an interesting one. We usually talk about 6 paramita. Here in the Good Eon Sutra, Buddha talked about 121 paramitas. Buddha said, bodhisattva will excel if the bodhisattva has this samadhi. And bodhisattva will also attain something like 84,000 different samadhis, 84 different dharanis. Bodhisattva will learn to benefit sentient beings, savvy in benefiting others, yet not get caught by the act of benefiting others. So first, and then also, oh yeah. So, basically the answer comes in 7 segments, and it's the last answer that got enlarged, and that's this sutra. And this last answer is, and thus the bodhisattva will quickly attain parinirvana or enlightenment. And then more question is raised. And then Buddha talked about how there was this king, Chakravartin, who had 1,000 children, who all become Buddha later. These 1,000 children, they become 1,002. And the list of the names, all the list is in this sutra. And not only the list of the Buddha, each, all 1,000 Buddhas, but where they come from, their sort of country, their race, their light, their father, their mother, their son, their attendant, and their disciples, and there the amount of horror and their lifespan and how long their dharma also will remain, and how after they go into parinirvana, what kind of relics, how many amounts of relics. Some have only one size and everything. This is what makes a big chunk of this sutra. So please read the sutra. They are so beautiful. I don't know, somehow I guess I should say I'm very fortunate to have this element, this dhatu. So when I read names of, some of the Buddha, so and so Buddha, he was born in a city called Bhadra. He has something like maybe a 1 mile of light. He has an attendant. His name is a learned one. He will have 40,000 monks. Or after a while, he will have 70,000 monks, so on and so forth. And I don't know, when you read this list, it's just so touching, because now, again, you need to read with the context that I've been telling you, because it's just a display. It's a play, isn't it? It's such a manifestation. And remember the duration of Kalpa, the Mount Everest, the whole that time and the moment. So if you can think in this sense, it's very enjoyable. So please, I request you to read. Anyway, towards the end, the Bodhisattva again asks question. How did each of these Buddha, how did they first even thought of becoming a Buddha for the benefit of sentient beings? Now, this is the important one. And actually, this is a very important subject. And I think it's very relevant for us. For us, sometimes, okay, of course, you love your brother, your sister, probably father, mother, your fellow country, or whatever, or a small child crying in the street whose maybe doll just got broken. You have empathy. You feel empathy. You understand his or her or the situation. But I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about sometimes, it's just out of no reason you feel so kind, and you just feel, and you have no price tag at all. Usually there's always a vested interest, there's always a price tag. Sometimes you have this. And this is the seed. And then this comes in many, many different forms. Like the Shakyamuni Buddha, for instance, our Shakyamuni Buddha. When he was roaming around in Kathmandu, actually, he just saw Dipankara. He just bumped into Dipankara in the street. And the Shakyamuni Buddha, he was of course not called Shakyamuni Buddha at that time, Subhadra. He had a long hair. And he just bumped into, Dipankara walking. And I don't think he even knows this is the Buddha Dipankara. He just looks so magnificent, so beautiful, just unbearably beautiful and so amazing. And then suddenly he saw a puddle on the road. And then his mind, wow, his feet will be soiled by this, mud, this water. So he immediately took out his hair and put on the puddle and let the Dipamkara walk. And then Dipamkara prophesies, saying, you will become Shakyamuni Buddha. This is what happened. So this is why we roam around in Kathmandu sometimes, trying to see where could that puddle be, It may be somewhere in those never finishing fixing Kathmandu road. There's too many puddles, isn't it? Too many ones. Anyway. So supreme joy, the Bodhisattva Chodu Kabir, he then asked the question, how did each of these Buddhas, how did they even have the idea of taking the Bodhisattva vow? So big last chunk of this sutra talks about how each one of them. And so beautiful. If you just look at the list of what they offered, the whole throne, nation, whole country they offered. Others, a leaf, a mud, or I think a massage also. It can be something so beautiful, something so simple. That's how they took the Bodhisattva vow. The vow to not build hospitals, by the way. Vow to not build hospitals, not to sort of propagate whatever your view, whatever. Vow to make people understand the truth. So this is my very, very bad summary of this amazing sutra. I request you to please, I don't believe that most of you have time to read all. Just flip through. And hopefully, we could actually I'm sitting because it just come in my mind, so I have to speak. I'm sitting here in front of somebody who's involved with the drama, right? Hopefully, we could actually create some of these segments. It's a beautiful, sort of segments about somebody taking a Bodhisattva vow, offering a massage. What do you think? It's like, so hopefully this is something that we could do. Enact, the enact Kalpa Bhadra Sutra. I'm sorry, I've taken most of the time, I think. Is there a question?
No. Yeah? Yes, thank you so much, Rinpoche. Shall we move on to questions?
Okay.
Okay, participants, if you haven't already done so, please submit your questions to the Q&A box on Zoom or the chat box on YouTube. So first question from Jack Ho. He asks, Rinpoche.
Okay.
Jack Ho asks, Rinpoche, when we read the names of various Buddhas and Bodhisattvas in the sutra, what should we bear in mind when we read out loud? For example, should we visualize that we're paying homage, or should we try to understand the meaning of their names?
Yes, that would be really good. But you don't even have to do that. Just read, that's good enough.
Okay.
Really?
Next question. Read.
You can even read it while you browse through Netflix. Watch your favorite episodes. Read. Better do it. Better that than nothing. Chances of you sitting on some holy mountain in a cave and just think about the Buddha and read it and not think about others, for most of us, very slim. Okay.
Okay. Next question from Ben. He asks, will thinking out of the box affect our judgment? Most of our judgment comes from experience, i.e. the so-called box.
Yes, exactly. So when the judgments are gone, all the values will be gone. When the values are gone, absolute freedom is these values. But by the way, we need it for now. Remember, Supreme Joy said, how to dwell in that, but yet not be affected. Yeah. Have all the value, but between you, for people like me, you and me, we should have a value, but always be suspicious of the value. I think something like that.
Okay. Next, we have two questions that are related to time and relativity. So I'll read them both. One is from Luigi Singh. He asks, Dear Rinpoche, keeping in mind that both time and space are relative and that there is no self tying this bundle of experiences together, would it be right to think that in a single moment, we go through innumerable eons of rebirths in infinite universes? Furthermore, as all things are always compounded and impermanent and therefore lacking any essence, would it be right to think that in each moment, there are always innumerable Buddhas giving teachings on emptiness? And a question for Marcus that's related. He asks, by time is not absolute, what do you mean more specifically? Do you mean that our markers for time, for example, an hour, a year, etc., are arbitrary and we might mark time in other ways? Or do you mean how long we say things will take is based on our relative and subjective conceptions of time? Or are our conceptions of when we will have something happen relative? Or what do you mean?
Actually, most of your question seems to have all the answers there. You know, yes, actually, no, it's an illusion. It does not exist as an independent entity. That's why it's not an absolute. Long time, short time, forever, momentary. Oh, this is delusion, habit, but very strong. Very, very strong. A night in a Delhi jail will take long time. A whole day in a Khan Market coffee shop might go like this. You understand? It's so, yeah. And the earlier question really resounds many of the Avatamsaka and also this sutra's point, you know, moment, you know, just everything. Basically, from the time Jesus came on this earth to the time that I'm drinking this, everything happened in one moment, but we can even do better. Not even a moment has gone. You know, we are talking about a Mahayana, you know, we need to think like that. It's really a big study of cosmology. I'm telling you, this Mahayana Sutras, it's very interesting, it's very poetic, and there's a lot of characters. And now that we are so deprived, time has become absolute, even though we keep on saying it's relative. And we have come up with such a poverty mentality ridden name like a Big Bang. What a beautiful name, such as Dipamkara. Much, much more beautiful. Okay.
Okay. Next, we have a question from Aster Ozel Chutzel. He asks, Dear Rinpoche, I have a question regarding practice. I heard you once briefly speaking about the importance of discipline on the path and how it might contradict our modern desire and belief in freedom. Can you please elaborate a bit deeper on this? Thank you.
Can you repeat that again?
Sure. This is a question about practice. I heard you once speaking about the importance of discipline on the path and how it might contradict our modern desire and belief in freedom. Can you please elaborate on this a bit more?
I don't think there's much thing to elaborate because it is something that definitely sounds like something that I say because it doesn't make sense to me too. I don't know what I meant actually. What did I mean by that? Yes, discipline is important. That's what, okay, just to give you because there's a question. If you ask me, what is let's say, because I'm sorry, see, I'm a defiled being, not a bodhisattva like supreme joy. I'm sitting in front of many Indians. So my dhatu is at the moment influenced by the Indians. So if tomorrow these Indians appoint me as a minister of education, you understand? What I will do is I'll scrap all the Indian education system and I will install 3, training, which is Shila, discipline. And that I will give it as so Shila, and then Samadhi, meditation, and then Prajna, wisdom. But then I will tell my principle, suppose these 3 are going for a drive. The wisdom should be the driver. And the Samadhi, meditation, should be maybe sit in front. I mean, somewhere like next door. Discipline at times in the trunk. Wisdom precedes everything. So probably it sounds like when we are talking about the modern time, because I think modern time, what are we talking about? Modernity. I have a feeling that when we are talking about modernity, we are talking a lot about the westernization here these days. And in the westernization has a different kinds of morality, right? And many times the Western, in the ethic and morality, in the West, when they talk about the modernity, modern West ethic, modern morality, I don't know whether they talk about the wisdom. But according to Shantadeva, according to everybody, the Mahayana people, no wisdom, discipline is a pain in the neck. And creator of the biggest creator of self-righteousness. Okay, next one. They're
Okay.
not. They're
Next
not
we have
rejecting me.
Next, we have a question from Zheng Yongren. I'm sorry, I don't know the exact pronunciation of this Chinese name, but he or she asks, given that the sutra has 1,002 Buddhas, does this mean that the whole Vajrakalpa only has 1,002 enlightened individuals?
If you are inside the box, yes. Outside the box, probably much more. But you see, okay, I understand. There's many boxes. There's this box, we go out, there's another box, right? So Supreme Joy already asked how to go even from the path, remember? Anyway, I've actually forgot to tell you this. Out of these 1,000 Buddha, only 4 have gone. That's a good news. 996. And I guess, yeah, there's a 2, right? Bihar is going to be busy. They're all supposed to go there under that Bodhi tree. Nowhere else. Only there. Only there. There's actually a different story about that. This one I didn't actually see in the text. Someone told me this, a Lama. They're supposedly in there, in the body, somewhere near the Bodhi tree. 1,000 princes were beheaded by a very evil king. And then they said, okay, we are going to take revenge. And the way we take revenge is we will become the Buddha and you will become our disciple, you and all your, retinues. And at that time, the 1,000 princes, their retinues, they also took a vow. When you become the Buddha, I will be your attendant. I will be your disciples, and so on and so forth. This is why Bihar will become busy.
Okay. Next, we have a question from Kalyana, who asks, Rinpoche, can you please elaborate on the answer to question 13? How does a bodhisattva aspire and ask for how not to let others outshine one's own confidence of authentic presence?
Let me read this first properly. This one, I'm not so sure. I was trying to sort of go through this today, in the big sutra. And I just got so, I don't know, tired, lazy, and yeah. Please, Joy, can you write down that?
Sure.
I think it is
question 13, I believe.
Yeah, can you please write that down? And maybe
Sure.
the person's name and email or whatever, and then I will try to get back.
Okay, thank you, Rinpoche. Next, we have a question from Yin Fan Hua. They ask, how can bodhisattvas benefit all sentient beings? Can bodhisattvas bring compassion to the hearts of those who raise war?
Especially, more than anyone else, because they're driven by their own ignorance, desire, anger, That's it.
Next, let us take this question. There's a question from Jin, and it is, how can I trust that the translators conveyed the exact meaning of what the Buddha wants to say if the translators are not yet enlightened beings?
Very difficult. Very difficult. That's difficult. Yeah. This is why not just the translator, the editor, people who are trying to make the translation happen, we can only do our best with a, most sincere, aspiration and motivation. Of course, we try to make, as many of you know, in the age of 4,000, our translation, we never considered this as a sort of the final draft. It's a work in progress. It's going to be, translation is the most difficult job. I'm sure you know, like the Rubaiyat of Omar Khayyam in English is like the biggest, big seller, right? The best seller. I was told that Rubaiyat of Omar Khayyam is really, it's basically really, really badly translated. It's actually sort of almost like a rewrite, but that's how it is. This is why, I have been grumbling. I'm sure many of you know that, and not just the translation word. I mean, the word, for instance, like an English word, it has a whole history and the culture behind it, right? This is why if I'm Kim Jong-un of Buddhism, I would really ban words like compassion, English word, compassion, because I can just smell the colonial, Abrahamic, smell. But, what to do? We need to sort of work with this. And people should raise questions. People should really be analytical, be critical. And that's how, we have to, yeah.
Okay, Rinpoche, maybe we'll take 2 more questions.
Okay.
The next one is from Tanya. They ask, I've read some of the Fortunate Eon or the Good Eon, and it's really unusual, all these lists and details of qualities, etc. When we become enlightened, will these details be in our mind, or was this the result of Siddhartha being born in Vedic times and it was just part of his DNA at the time?
According to Chandrakirti, let's forget Buddha. According to Chandrakirti, when you reach first Bhumi, you can talk to 100 Buddha in one moment, receive 100 different teachings in one moment. And there's many, many lists like that. Again, just to give you some, because this is an important question. And I'm borrowing this from the Buddhist study of what we call Brahmana, which is like Buddhist epistemology or the logic, let's say. when we interact with the object, world, whatever, outer object, inner object, whatever, we do usually, actually, we do two things, okay? One is a direct perception. So I'm looking at you, you are looking at me. This is a direct perception. One is inferential. I see your shoes outside, so you must be inside, like that. Sort of, out of these two, inferential is secondary. That could be really wrong because, it may be not even your shoes. Maybe it's just similar kind of shoes, so on and so forth. So we give precedence to the direct perception. Now, when we talk about a direct perception, there's also 4 different kinds of direct perception Buddhists talk about. I'm not going to go through all of this, but one is like a, sense and sense consciousness. I think the scientists and all of that, they can understand things like empiricism, empirical, understand, see, I can touch, sort of, Now, in Buddhism, these kind of direct perception by sense, that's low class direct perception. They talk about a yoga. The reason why it's a low class is so much filter. There's so much filter. Yeah, compared to that shoe analogy, you must be inside because your shoes is outside. It's better, but still a lot of filter. So the most direct perception to the object is a yogic, Nanjurngusum, we call it. It's a yogic seeing. When yogis see things, I don't think they really, it doesn't frighten them with 1,000 or 1. It really doesn't frighten them. It really, I think, like I can't put a truck inside my cup. It will frighten me. I cannot take it literally. But Bodhisattva, can I have a cup of truck? Literally they say, oh yeah, why not? Are you sure? You don't want to 2? Yeah, why not 3? No, they can do that. Okay.
Thank you, Richard. Let's finish off with a practical question. So this one is from an anonymous participant. They ask, Rinpoche, I have the aspiration to read many great sutras, such as this one, but when I see the length of the sutra, I feel discouraged and I never start reading. What advice do you have for us to get started?
No need to finish. No need to finish. Why should we finish? This needing to finish, you must have learned from Harrow or Eaton or something, isn't it? Okay.